Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. We've got a special one. It is the Coca-Cola 600, the third crown jewel event of the season. After this race, we will be halfway, or almost halfway, through the regular season here. Just 20 races still to go to decide a champion in the Winston Cup Series here. Again, this is based off the 2003 season. And last time we left off was on Sunday in the All-Star race. Now we are about to go back to points racing again at the same racetrack at Lowe's Motor Speedway. So without further ado, we're going to hop on in.
Welcome everyone to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's time once again for the running of the Coca-Cola 600 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. And EA Sports is here to bring you all the action. This should be a fantastic race as usual.
This track was the first one to focus on spectator comfort, and it shows. This place always draws an enormous crowd. Most of the team shops are located in this area, which give it a hometown feel. We're in for some great racing here at Lowe's.
Greg Biffle is causing a lot of problems for Ward Burton.
That's true, and maybe NASCAR needs to start taking a look at this situation. You got a guy who's really letting his emotions get the best of him, and it's possible his judgment is a little impaired on the racetrack.
Jeff Green might not be a household name, but he's had a lot of success recently in stock cars.
No doubt, and he won the NASCAR Busch Series Championship in 2000 by over 600 points, and has finished runner-up in that series to a couple of talented guys by the names of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kevin Harvick.
Jack Sprague has had some bad luck the last two races.
I believe they've got a chance to turn their luck around here. Those guys have been working extra hard this week, and I think it just may pay off for them in the end.
We'll take you through the starting lineup for today's Coke 600. Tony Stewart on the pole and with the Winston Cup points lead. Jeff Gordon with a win this season starts outside of him. Gordon had a great show in the All-Star race. Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin will be in row 2, both with one win this season. Back in row number 3, it'll be Kenny Wallace and Kevin Harvick. Harvick, your Daytona 500 winner on the year. Wallace again keeps that good run of qualifying runs as he qualified in the top 5 once again. Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, a couple of Roush Fenway Fords back in row 4. Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Johnson back in row 5. They've been close to going to victory lane the last couple of races still, both of them winless on the season. In row number 6, we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Rudd. Rudd with a win on a road course at Watkins Glen this year. Dale Jr., 2 wins in the last 6 races. Johnny Benson, Jeremy Mayfield will be back in row number 7 for today's race. In row number 8, we've got Ryan Newman, Hermie Sadler. Newman still sitting top 3 in the point standings as he has most of the year. In row number 9, we've got Ricky Craven and Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Winston Cup winner. And he came close here in 2005 to winning the Coke 600, failed by a nose to Jimmy Johnson. Granted, that was after the fact of this one, but still. Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler will be back in row 10. Behind those guys in row number 11, we've got Ward Burton and Sterling Marlin. Behind those guys, in row number 12, is going to be Greg Biffle and Jeff Green. Gary Nadeau, Ken Schrader will be back in row number 13 for the start of today's race. Behind those guys in row 14, we have Christian Fittipaldi and Joe Nemechek. Behind those guys in row number 15, we've got Michael Waltrip and Robbie Gordon. Coke 600. Don't be surprised if a winner came from this far back in the field, if not further back. Jack Sprague, Bill Elliott will be in row 16. In row 17, rookie Jamie McMurray. Outside of him, veteran Kyle Petty. And in row number 18, we've got Mike Skinner and Steve Park. In row number 19, we've got Brett Bodine. Kevin LePage will start outside of him. Kevin Grubb, Terry Labonte back in row 20, starting 39th and 40th for today's race. Starting 41st and 42nd in row 21, it'll be Ashton Lewis and Casey Mears, a couple of rookies. And behind them, another rookie, rounding out the field in row 22 of David Green. That is going to set the lineup for today's race. R6, Ethan, Ashton G. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We are about to start this one, the longest race of the season, 600 miles, 400 laps. It's going to be a long haul tonight if these guys can make it to the end. Already seeing Biffle spin the tires on the start, but the green flag is in the air. Ward Burton already not too happy with Biffle after the last points race. Biffle very loose right now. We saw that in the All-Star race too. Thought he might have been able to tighten things up maybe a little bit. Not the greatest qualifying run as well. Got to be extra patient in this race here tonight. Biffle already trying to make a pass. Ward Burton tries to wipe him out. A couple times now. Biffle trying to move on by, and Ward Burton has just stuffed Biffle in the wall 3 times. He had made heavy contact with him. Biffle just trying to survive the opening couple laps. That's going to space things apart pretty quickly. Ward Burton holding a grudge here in the early going of this race. Biffle is still running nevertheless. That was insane. One of the higher banked mile-and-a-half racetracks, one of the easier ones to drive, but again, with the All-Star race and now this race, Greg Biffle's car is just not handling well at all. You can't wait to see that first pit stop, and it's only lap 4. That's never good. Luckily, there's no severe damage on the race car from Ward Burton. A lot more stable off of turn 4 that time. Biffle's just got to try to break away from this pack of cars behind him. In the All-Star race, it seemed like Biffle's car was pretty good on the short run. And midway through the run, it was alright. But towards the end of the run, about 40 laps or so into the run, once you get into the second half, his car really started to fall apart. And speed. I've had a decent amount of practice with the All-Star race before coming into this one. I think that's why Biffle, his demeanor was all right. But starting mid-pack and having that opening lap incident there with Ward Burton, bringing flashbacks of how bad the last 8 races have been for Greg Biffle. Really wants to find himself in victory lane here today. Slid up into the wall off of turn 4. Hermie Sadler is the next driver just up ahead for Biffle to try and catch. Sadler's given Biffle a ton of room on the inside through turns 1 and 2. Should be able to get around him pretty easily going into turn 3 here. Biffle's glad Hermie Sadler was giving him plenty of room to race, because boy oh boy, Ward Burton was not on the opening lap. Biffle lined up right beside him, and he tried to make a pass on him on the opening lap as well. It just did not work out, obviously. Burton holding the grudge from the last race. It has been so long since we've had a points race on this game. I believe it has been about a week and a half. So, quite honestly, I can't remember exactly why Ward Burton's upset. might have been involved in that last accident that wiped Biffle out of the last race. But even through the All-Star race, he hasn't forgotten. This is the point of the season. Biffle absolutely needs to go on a tear if he's going to want to put himself in the last 10 races to really have a good chance. I'd say last 9 races, the last quarter of the season to really have a chance to get back into the standings. It's going to be dependent on these next 9 to 11 races leading up to that. See if he's got what it takes. Trying to find the success he had early in the season. So we can go about 60 laps or so on a full tank of fuel. If we stay green all the way through the finish of the race, which I doubt it, especially in this kind of a race where it's 600 miles. You do the math there, you're likely looking at about a 6 to 7 stop race. Cautions will be playing a factor for sure. But Biffle is not coming here to mess around. Game face is on for the rookie. Trying to bounce back.
Come on, buddy, we're 6 seconds back. Let's get up there.
Jeremy Mayfield left a lot of bottom open off of turn 2. Biffle's going to get to his inside. And he's going to make the pass. It's Kenny Wallace after qualifying 5th, already back to 23rd. And continuing to go backwards. That's been the story of Wallace. The season's been about a mid-pack, if not worse, driver throughout the course of a race. But just does not have what it takes. Middle of the race, but in qualifying he's been stellar this year. He's had a lot of top 10 qualifying performances. For the first couple laps, things were able to space apart. Biffle was able to start to run some clean laps. Wallace tried to throw a block off of turn 4, but Biffle gets to his inside finally down the front stretch. Draft of Jeff Green now down the back. Woodburton has pulled ahead. Biffle qualified in the 23rd position. Sends it into turn 1 to the inside of Jeff Green. It seems like there's a little bit more grip in turns 1 and 2 than 3 and 4 for Biffle. A lot wider quarter entry. It's a lot sharper to enter into turn 3, especially if you're trying to make a pass. Basically had Green cleared there, so that made it a lot easier. Indeed, Ethan. DNF's in 6 of the last 8 races and only 1 top 10 in that 8-race stretch for Greg Biffle. It has been miserable. And the only top 10 race in that stretch was at Pocono, where he finished 10th. Best finish outside of that, the only other race that he did get to the finish was 29th in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Lady Luck has not been on the side of Biffle. Whether it's his fault or not, and really, I'd probably put the blame of 1, maybe 2 of those accidents that has caused him a DNF in 6 of the last 8 races on his shoulders. The rest were just somebody either wiped him out or a game glitch happened, and one way or another, he hasn't found himself in victory lane in a while. Been about a quarter of the season. If he doesn't win today, it'll be exactly a quarter of the season since his last win. Having more success driving it in a lot deeper into the corners. Able to get the car to stick really well. Jeff Gordon not off to a good start today. He's 21st in the point standings. Or sorry, 21st in the race right now, not the point standings. He's actually top 5 in the point standings. But that's good. Biffle wants to see those guys that are towards the front, the top 5 of the point standings, top 10 of the point standings, they have mediocre days. That's only going to make it a lot easier for him to come back on top of possible good performances, because he's going to need some help. Even if he goes on a rampage and wins 10 races in a row, which realistically probably wouldn't happen, but I mean, the mindset he's got right now, wow, Gordon got loose in the quad oval. And came down right in front of Biffle, too. Minimal contact. Gordon just about got in the wall. I think he was trying to save it back down the track, not necessarily trying to block Biffle, but just came down right in front of him. From the All-Star race, Biffle might have to get back at Rusty Wallace. We're taking him out of there. Obviously, Ward Burton, Ryan Newman. There are a lot of people Biffle is not happy with, and that aren't very happy with him as well. Just got to the inside of Sadler. Sadler started to go low, but Biffle had too much of a run. Sadler gave him a little bit of space. So now into the top 20, first time today. Already lap 23, but again, this is a long race. Not worried about where he's at in the running right now. A little bit of unfinished business coming up here. Burton trying to make the outside work, but that's not going to happen. He goes to the inside trying to make a pass. And back to the outside again. Man, Biffle got loose going off into turn 3 that time. Loose off of turn 4 as well. Biffle lined up right behind Ward Burton now. Perhaps looking to settle this immediately if he can. Blow an engine on the inside of the racetrack. That's Jack Sprague. So Sprague is now DNF'd in the early going of the race with that engine failure. Biffle can't even get around Ward Burton. Burton trying to throw a block down the back straightaway. Watch Biffle slid right there. Jimmy Johnson starting to fade back as well. Big slide off of turn 4. Almost 30 laps into the run. Johnson doesn't even look too happy with Greg Biffle right now either. Wow. Didn't take much. Very light hit off the wall going into turn 1, and look at how much ground he lost from the cars ahead of him. Joseph Baloney, welcome to the stream. Got a hockey game at 7. Nice, nice. what level you play. I never played hockey, but I've always been a fan. Pretty big Red Wings guy. Even though they've been struggling. I don't watch too much collegiate level hockey. Every now and then I'll catch a Michigan game, but that... Usually I like to stick with the NHL. We've got a minor league team in the ECHL in Toledo, too. I go to a couple games there a year also. I believe this might be the first lap car of the race. No, it's Jerry Nadeau in the 0-1. So it's actually a pass for position. Really, the only driver's not giving Biffle a lot of room is just one driver, and that's Ward Burton right now. Ten to 17, nice. Johnson, Ward Burton keep going back and forth for position right now. So halfway through the fuel window. Biffle, despite being back in 19th, is not that far off the race lead. Just under 6 seconds. And there's a little bump and run on 1.5 miles. You don't usually see that, but Biffle wanted to get around him. Not wasting any time. Jimmy might give him a little bit more room. He definitely doesn't want Ward Burton to catch back up to him again, so he's going to want to get a move on here. Pass on Johnson. So Biffle trying to charge through the field here. Obviously would love to get the most bonus points in the race, but again, you're just... The way Biffle's been going here, I don't think he's worried about bonus points as much as he is worried about finishing the race. Just hoping maybe he can lead at least one lap today. 5 bonus points, maybe contend for the win, because he is going to need a good point stay at the end of the day, but again, he's not as worried about that. Sterling Marlin not giving Greg Biffle any room here. Pretty big block going into turn 3 by Marlin. Marlin wiggled in the center of the corner just a little bit. Biffle gets to his inside for 15th. And Biffle's got the spot into turn 1. BM&J, welcome to the stream. I don't know if the race leader's holding everybody up or maybe lap traffic might be getting in his way, but there is just a huge line of cars. 4.5 seconds separate the top 15. You don't see that on 1.5 miles, especially the Gen 4 race cars. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Biffle working with his teammate, Matt Kenseth, trying to help him get to the inside there. Biffle pushed way up the track, helping him get to the inside of his other teammate, Kurt Busch. At least Biffle got around Kurt Busch. Now he's working on Matt Kenseth for position. Oh boy. That was a very awkward angle into turn 3. He didn't slide as far up the track as I thought he was going to, but definitely slid up more than I think he wanted to. It was not a comfortable situation. He's trying to work with his teammate Kenseth again, this time to get by a non-teammate of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
17 car is outside. You're clear.
Interval between you and the leader is 4:45.
No one outside.
Nice move. He got underneath Kenseth through 1 and 2, and he clears him at the same time, too. Quick work of Matt Kenseth. Now looks low on Dale Jr. Jr. pulling off the block. Lap car of Kevin Grubb.
22 is outside.
So Biffle follows Jr. on by. Little contact off of turn 4.
Outside.
Jr. kept it off the wall, I think, but he definitely washed up the track off of turn 4. And again, Biffle not wasting any time at all. Not going to have these guys throwing blocks on him today.
All right, 3.5 seconds behind the leader. Let's get that lead now.
Wonder how many lead changes could possibly be going on at the front of the field as well. We saw a lot of them. 27 lead changes in the All-Star race. That's insane. In just a 90-lap event. And we saw in that race, nobody was really able to break away from the field when they got to the lead. You're seeing that here in the Coke 600 today as well. Doing pretty good today, by the way, Tim. Pretty solid day.
No one outside.
Biffle underneath of Labonte.
Number 18.
Makes the pass.
18 car.
Trying to get a run on Ricky Rudd. Rudd left the bottom open on the front stretch. Biffle to his inside, and he'll get around Ricky Rudd, and now into the top 10. Feeling you're going to see a lot of DNFs tonight with possible engine failures. You usually see that in the Coke 600. Look at the heavy lap traffic there right in front of the leaders. Biffle stuffs it underneath not Matt Kenseth, Michael Waltrip. The other driver's that name starts with an M, but that is a good pass for ninth. And there you see Rusty Wallace not too far ahead. Again, the history between those two in the All-Star race. Ashton Lewis not a happy camper either of Biffle. Biffle looking all the way to the inside. Has to come back up the track, and Lewis sent it into the corner. Biffle comes right back up the racetrack into him, but Biffle did not purposely come back up into him. He basically had nowhere to go. He was on the apron in the center of 3 and 4 after getting shoved down the track by the lap car of Lewis. Lewis is even more upset after that, even though he caused it. Pretty decent damage on the right front now as well. Biffle looking to the inside, Rusty Wallace. Wallace gonna throw the block. Biffle hangs tight right behind him. Look at this traffic right now. Now Biffle to the inside of Wallace. Get around him, and he's trying to take it 3 wide underneath Mark Martin. Now into the top 5. There's Ryan Newman. Trying to block Greg Biffle. Biffle going to try to get around him as they go up into turn 1. He's on his inside. And he'll make the pass. Kevin LePage could be holding him up. I think Newman had to get out of the gas so he could try to get under him, but now he's still caught behind LePage. Greg Biffle has just charged through this field. Hasn't gotten up to the lead. Not yet, at least, but he's not far off of it. Top 4 under a second off the lead. Biffle to the inside of his teammate Jeff Burton for third. He'll have the spot. Points leader Tony Stewart leading. After starting on the pole, there's a good chance he could have very well led every lap in this race, despite not being able to really pull away. Biffle now to the inside of Dale Jarrett for second.
Number 88 is still there. The 88 car is still there. Careful. Up to second. Keep digging. The 20 car is the leader.
Green flag pit stops likely less than 10 laps away. Biffle wants to get to the lead before the stops. From mid-pack, remember he started 23rd. It's taken him almost the whole run to get here. Underneath Stewart. Stewart didn't give him a lot of room. There was no contact, though. They're racing clean.
Number 20 is still there. Leader right there.
Stewart still leads the lap. Into turn 1, Greg Biffle with a slide job and pulls into the lead into turn 1. Greg Biffle out in front now for the first time today. It'll be 5 bonus points at the start-finish line for leading a lap. If he can lead the lap, that is.
Number 4 now left.
It's on the outside of Mike Skinner. That's not going to work out too well, I don't think.
That's 5 bonus points for leading the lap.
Well,
You're clear.
definitely didn't work out too well for Biffle, but he still holds on to the lead, and he got his 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Outside, probably not the way to go there. Mike Skinner is just not making it easy for Biffle.
Still beside you. The 4 car is coming on.
And now Skinner goes a lap down, so Biffle trying to
Okay, we're clear.
walk away from Stewart the rest of the field here. Half a second lead. Now leading his first 2 laps of the race today.
Number 43 behind. Clear.
He's got a lot of allies at the back of the field outside of Nash and Lewis, of course, that we saw earlier, but Brooke Bodine, Christian Fittipaldi, Jeff Green are seemingly going to race him pretty lenient. Well, Jeff Green's more
All clear, buddy.
mid-pack. Club 48, welcome to the stream.
Watch your fuel.
So these guys almost to the fuel window. 1.5 second lead for Biffle. Ken Schrader, there was contact with him after Ward Burton put Biffle in the wall on lap 2. Still caution free to this point, by the way, though. Biffle had a big run in the draft to Schrader down the backstretch. Looks to his inside. Ken Schrader not giving him a lot of room. They didn't make contact, though. Biffle really slid it in there off of turn 4. On his inside. Schrader's not... I mean, he's upset with him, but he's not at that minus 60 where you're going to see guys try to take swings in this game. We're going to try to stretch this fuel window out as long as he possibly can before he hits pit road. Things are really spaced apart right now, too. He doesn't want to come to the pits. We haven't seen things this spaced out probably all day, honestly. Big slide off of turn 4. He cleared Sadler, luckily. Lap 60 now. And we have our first drivers coming to pit road. So our first takers coming into the pits here in the Coke 600.
Might be time for a new lap for your time.
It will be a 4-tire pit stop for Biffle and his crew when he comes to pit road, and he'll likely make an adjustment on the race car as well. They'll try to tighten it up just a hair. He's been loose for the majority of the run.
The 30 car still loose. All clear, buddy.
0.8 of a gallon of fuel left in the race car. Biffle will stay out another lap. I don't know how many cautions are going to happen in this race, if it could become a fuel mileage race or not.
Watch the cars coming out of the pits, buddy. Be careful. Car loose. Okay, we're clear.
Waste 0.3 of a gallon that last lap. Biffle's going to stay out one more lap here. Stretch it to lap 64. He's got the open room, the open traffic to run right now. Why not?
Coming up on cars exiting pit road.
Might run out of gas here in turns 3 and 4, but he's coming to pit road anyway this time. And no, he didn't run out of fuel. He's got to make it into the pits without speeding. Boy, he had to lock it down there. Perfect timing getting to pit road. And there we go. Half a round of wedge being put into the car to try and tighten it up. 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. Biffle has to be proud of that run to start the race.
You got some traffic. Easy on
So
the
lap 65, green, still green.
car.
Caution free up to this point. Biffle was the last driver on pit road, but not everybody has come onto pit road yet. So he works his way right back up onto the racetrack. Dale Jarrett got around him. So that makes at least one driver that pitted before. Biffle will cycle back in front of him for now. He had a 3-second lead coming onto pit road. Up to third, so it looks like Dale Jarrett should be the race leader when things cycle through, and Biffle should be in second place. We got another blown engine on the inside of the racetrack. That's Kyle Petty in the 45. That is the second blown engine we've seen today. Jack Sprague was the first.
Some of the leaders are coming in together.
Warburton, sure enough, was the last driver on the track trying to stay out. He's able to at least get a lap led, get some bonus points. It's likely the strategy call there. Going into the pits, he had open traffic to work with. He was worried he probably was going to lose that open traffic. That's not the case here. Comes out of the pits, right back in the open again. He's 1 second off the race lead, though. Again, he'll try to run Dale Jarrett down. Biffle made that wedge adjustment, tighten it up a half a round, and you can just tell the car just feels a little bit faster. It definitely is glued to the racetrack a lot better than what it was. Biffle a tenth of a second faster that last lap. Jarrett's caught behind 2 lap cars right now that are really slowing him up. Kevin Harvick, who is in 3rd place right now, only about 7/10 of a second behind Biffle as well. Seems like he's starting to close that gap little by little. Jarrett has passed that first lap car up here now, still trying to work on the second one. And now he will clear that second driver off at turn 4. They're side by side, and now Biffle's got to get around him. As they're side by side, that might not be easy for Biffle. And he is slightly faster than the race leader. Again, another tenth of a second quicker that last lap for the Biff. That lap car is pulled. Oh no! Jeremy Mayfield got loose going into turn 1, and then he tried to save it, and he did, but not without a little contact with Biffle. Something happened to Mayfield there just to lose control of the race car, but we're good. We stay green still. Jarrett perhaps leading his first laps of the race by cycling ahead of Biffle. So that's his way of trying to get his bonus points by short pitting. The rest of the field, he would have been at 3rd place. At least at the time after Biffle had got around him. Tony Stewart was ahead of Dale Jarrett. Going pretty good, called. That lap car really trying to get back around Dale Jarrett. He's racing him hard. That is Kenny Wallace in the 23. You can't blame him, though. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. He's doing whatever he can right now. By him racing Jarrett, it is allowing Biffle to, again, close in more and more with each and every growing lap. Biffle only about 3 car lengths off the lead into turn 1. As he closes in on Kenny Wallace, he's going to want to make a pass on him himself. Wallace not going to give it up. Not wanting to give it up. Biffle's going to drive it in really deep there into turn 3. And he'll get right around Wallace. Now working on the race leader, Dale Jarrett. Coming up, on another lap car, Jarrett's in the wall into turn 1. Wallace runs into the back of him, and Biffle's got the lead. We have seen 3 cars make a mistake going into turn 1 just like that today. That was probably the worst of the 3. Biffle evades him and has the race lead now. But Jarrett brushed the wall into turn 1, and Wallace not only got it in the back of him, but he's going to get around Jarrett as well. Lead change at the line, Biffle back out in front and quickly with about a 1 second lead, and Harvick is now just a couple of car lengths off of Jarrett for second.
The 22 car is outside. Clear.
So if we look at the fuel window, again, we guesstimated right around 60 laps. Biffle was able to make it to lap 64 before he took his first pit stop of the day. No caution laps in there as well, so great fuel economy for this mile-and-a-half racetrack. Probably looking at about lap 128 before coming to pit road the next time. 127 to 129 to kind of broaden that out a little bit. Was happy with his race car just by it being fast, but now that it's stable and fast, that only builds the confidence for Biffle. He's used the bumper already a couple times just to move a couple guys out of the way that are a lot slower than him. They're trying to block him, but he hasn't necessarily turned anybody, despite the fact that a couple guys have tried to run him over already, of Ward Burton and Ashton Lewis. Ward Burton's still on the lead lap. Ashton Lewis, on the other hand, is a lap down. Biffle coming in with a game face here. There's Ashton Lewis just up ahead once again. 1.3 second lead on Dale Jarrett. Jarrett's still hanging on to second. Harvick was only 3 to 4 car lengths behind him after Harvick got in the wall, but that was it. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. Biffle to the inside of Ashton Lewis. Lewis with a swing off of turn 4. That's the second time he's tried something. Biffle evades it and moves on. A couple more lap cars right in front of him, and then a lot of open room to run once again for Biffle. Biffle contact with Joe Nemechek, who's hanging on that right rear. That was a pretty hard hit into the wall. Not any severe damage on the 16, luckily. Like he had him passed. The car just got really tight going off into turns 1 and 2. Sterling Marlin, or sorry, no, that's Dale Jarrett. Now a half second behind Biffle. Harvick trying to get around Jarrett still. Harvick's all over his back bumper, so the top 3 now within a second. All of a sudden, Biffle had a 1.5 second lead. You know, I'm going to be honest, I do like the playoffs. And is it the most traditional way to crown a champion? No. By auto racing standards, no. But I understand why they have it. And I also understand the fact and keep preaching the fact. And basically my opinion is the same as Eric Estep's when it comes to they need to keep this format for at least a 10-year run to make this championship mean something again. Because by changing the format over and over and over again every 3 to 4 years, that's not going to solve anything. Because you know what could happen is if they put it to a season-long championship or something of that nature, and then it doesn't work out, in the first 3 to 4 years they use it, they're going to scrap it again. Then we're going to change it to something else. So you can't keep changing the format. Keep the consistency. A lot of people obviously like the Winston Cup format. It was, a season-long format, yes, but at the same time, too, they had other season-long formats before that specific points format. And that one was one of the better ones, for sure. Didn't have to take, like, what was it, laps run and all that stuff into consideration. It was basically just off your finishing position. But they had that point system around for every bit of, what was it, like 18 years, maybe a little longer. No, it was longer than that. It was like 1979 to 2003 or something like that. I can't remember the exact year they started it. I don't know if it was when they started the modern era or not. It could have been. So if they could keep this points format for, you know, a 20 to 30 year run, you know, all the people that say I don't put as much weight and emphasis on the championship anymore as what I do winning races because the points format isn't what it used to be. Well, that would bring a lot of that back. It would bring a lot of those people say the championship doesn't mean much, and then you have this format for so long, it's going to make the championship feel more important again. Well, there's a hit. Joe Nemechek trying to wipe out Greg Biffle now after the contact they made a handful of laps prior. Biffle moves on. Davion West, welcome to the stream. Oh, jeez. Big hit there. Talladega is the All-Star race. I think it would be pretty cool. I think if they're going to alternate tracks every year, it'll probably lead to a Daytona or a Talladega at some point anyway. But I'd be down. I'd be down for that. Crown $1 million. I mean, you think about it, the All-Star race is the most gimmicked race really ever in NASCAR. So the fact that, you know, you would go to Talladega where anybody could win at that point. Yeah, why not? The only other thing, though, with that is you'd have to change the format because I feel like if you had the segments the way they are now, they'll probably just run single file and play it safe for the first, like, 2 segments of the race. And then when you get into the final segment, because it's only going to be half the cars anyway. So if you have, like, a 20-car field at Talladega to start off with, you know, they run single file the first 2. You could easily go from 20th to 1st in that last stage if it's like 10 laps long. So they would have to modify it, somehow or another there, or like maybe just make it one long race rather than having segments built in, or make a mandatory pit stop or something of that nature that you'd have that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be fun. The All-Star race is, fun as it is usually wherever they go. I'm sure they'll find something for Texas to have some sort of, intriguing points of the race throughout, outside of just the winner gets $1 million, which is obviously the big hype around it anyway. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And the cool thing about the All-Star race, if you hold it in the middle of the summer, like they did last year and like they're doing again next year, is you can move it to every track. Because if you have it in late May, then again, I mean, the weekend before Memorial Day, even Michigan, it would be pretty decent weather. It's hit or miss in Michigan. Like, you could have a nice 80-degree day in the middle of May, but you could also very easily have a 50-degree day the next day. So, and at nighttime, obviously, that would kind of hurt. I would go to tracks with lights, though. Like, I would almost rather see Daytona than Talladega. See, that's another thing, too. Like, the All-Star race, you'd have to run that race in the daytime if you ran it at Talladega because they don't have lights. David Green. He takes a shot at Biffle now. Man, oh man. (1975 to 2003). Got you. Yep. Yeah, so they had that for 28 years. I'm not saying you have to keep this format for that long, But, I mean, you have to have it at least a decade or two. With the stages, everything. Don't change it. Don't change it, NASCAR. For that reason, that's one thing. I mean, the fans want NASCAR to listen to them, and they do a lot more now than what they used to. But they can't listen to every fan either. Because every fan's going to have their own opinion, and no matter what format you're going to have, you're not going to please the fans. The biggest thing is the on-track racing product. Because if you have a knock-your-socks-off race in general 8 out of 10 times of the season, because not every race is going to be that way, no matter what package or whatever you do to try to enhance it or manipulate it, you're not going to have that, and that's just racing in general. That's sports in general, not just racing. So 100 laps have been complete. Out of 400, we're a quarter of the way through the Coke 600 tonight. Biffle trying to get another Crown Jewel win of the year. He won the last Crown Jewel event, the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis. That was also the last race Greg Biffle has won this season. It has been 9 races since that day. You had to figure, too, the first Crown Jewel event of the year, although he didn't win it, he ran well, and that was the Daytona 500. He ended up with a pretty solid finish, runner-up in second place. Biffle already a lot further than what he was in the All-Star race when he wrecked out with on lap 69 of that one. It's a lot longer race, too. Steve Park. Biffle got on the brakes at a good time right as soon as he clipped the apron. Almost a little bit before, like he knew he was going to go down there. He's able to settle the car up pretty nicely. Trying to make a pass on Steve Park. Once he gets around Park, open room ahead of him to run again. There's just a huge glob of cars in turns 1 and 2 right now. It is insane how many cars are packed together. We saw that really throughout the entirety of the first run where we saw a huge glob of cars. Remember, it was 3.5 seconds difference in time, interval-wise, between 1st and 15th at one point. And that was like 30 to 40 laps into the race. Not only the focus is on tonight, this is a race where you need probably the most focus, with it being the longest race of the season. And by a wide margin, by 100 miles, it's the longest race of the season. If you can make it to the end of this race, there's no reason why Biffle can't go on a run and not DNF the rest of the year. The right side of his race car is pretty banged up because the driver's trying to take him out. But we're getting closer to the end of this fuel run. We only got about 20 more laps until the next set of pit stops, so if he can make it that long, he'll be alright. He's got a 5-second lead. And if he has to turn a rival to bring out a caution, he will do it. Biffle's going to do whatever it takes to get to the end and win this race, and if that's what it takes, he will do it. Still caution free in this one as well. How easy it is for one caution to bring out another in this game. I've seen it so many times. It seems like whenever we get one caution, we get another one at least within 10 laps afterwards, or sometimes more. And again, this is such a long race. Highly doubt that that would happen anyway. Fittipaldi didn't give Biffle a ton of room down the backstretch, but just enough. Fittipaldi got a little loose. Biffle easily clears him in the center of 3 and 4. You know, with the right side banged up, it's a good thing he's racing around Allies right now when he is racing around drivers. And again, he's just thankful for the fact that this track is as spaced apart as it has been for really the last 40 or 50 laps. I see that too much, especially in this long of a green flag run to start a race. 6.3 second lead at the line. Dale Jarrett's still in second. Harvick has been right on his back bumper the whole time, just hasn't been able to get around him. Been 2 to 4 car lengths behind him this entire time, maybe waiting for Jarrett to make a mistake like he did when he was leading that gave Biffle the lead. Biffle never really had to race Jarrett straight up. Again, Biffle likely shooting for lap 128 as the next pit stop. Likely not going to see an adjustment be made out of Greg Biffle and his team under this next stop. They put the half around a wedge in the race car. That worked wonders as it was. They can move underneath Johnny Benson now. Yeah, quite honestly, most of the stuff I wear, if it's anything like athletic related, is Under Armour. Like from shoes to or I should say tennis shoes to sweatshirts. Especially when I work outside or have had a job outside the last year. I had to wear it, and that was like the warmest thing I could wear. Warm that was still thin that I could move around in. But yeah, I'd probably have to say Under Armour for my side of the spectrum there. Even when it comes to like golf attire, I never really thought of Nike. I've always been a Callaway person. There's Ashton Lewis. Biffle knows the right side of his race car is pretty banged up. We're getting towards the end of the fuel run. Got about an 8-second lead right now. And Lewis is really upset. Biffle riding behind him for now. Biffle's honestly kind of scared to pass him. He doesn't know how hard of a hit it will be if he gets to the inside of Ashton Lewis. And he's got such a big lead, and pit stops are so close. Oh no, Biffle tried to wipe him out, and he just completely missed, and he is sliding all over the place down the backstretch. Trying to bring out that first caution of the day and retaliate on Ashton Lewis for nearly wiping him out earlier. We'll have to reset it all back up again. Make contact with him, and now Biffle trying to take a shot to the inside. He got around him. Lewis hit him in a dangerous spot off the exit of turn 4 in the right side. Nonetheless, where the car is pretty beat up, but Biffle got on by. Might not even be able to take it to lap 128. I don't know. Schrader gives Biffle room to the inside. Biffle's going to get around him. Some drivers came to pit road the following lap. More drivers coming in this time as well. So we're in the middle of green flag pit stops now for the second time already today. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream, by the way. So first stops of the race. Sorry, second stops of the race. Under the first run of the race under green, because we haven't had a caution yet. Run to the back of Jamie McMurray. McMurray holding on.
Number 42, behind. The 42 car is still there. Number 42 is right behind him. And they're all around. All right. All clear, buddy.
So about a gallon and a half of fuel left. He might be able to make it to lap 128. There'll only be 3 laps at the line this time that he would have to make it. He ran out right as he was coming to pit road last time. A 9.8 second lead. As far as largest lead of the race today. Now Jarrett was able to short pit and get around him last time, but he was about 3.5 to 4 seconds behind him last time. So we'll probably cut into that lead, but I don't think he's going to get to the lead. He would have had to short pit probably at least 5 to 10 laps ago if he was going to want to get to the lead. Not sure if Jarrett's pit yet. No, Jarrett still hasn't pit. He's 10.4 off now. A little tight going off into 1 and 2 that time.
The 9 car now left. Number 1 is outside. The 1 car is passing high. Clear.
Lap 127. Blocked off now by Jeremy Mayfield. In the 19, Biffle not worried about trying to pass unless he gets a big run at it. Off of turn 4, looks to make the move. Mayfield trying to block him again. Flew into turn 1, just couldn't hold the line. Drove it off way too deep that time. So just going to stay consistent here. Joe Nemechek coming up onto the racetrack now. We'll check up going into turn 3. Biffle going to let Bill Elliott go, and now he's going to duck to pit road. Look to make a move on him there at first. Got to make sure you don't speed, and he did not. So 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel coming up here. No adjustments for the 16 of Biffle. Second pit stop of the race today, and he made it 64 laps on each run. This time, he didn't run out of fuel going into the pits. Now, he timed it perfect last time still. He was running out literally as he was braking onto pit road, but I don't know why they made an adjustment there, but I'm going to be a little upset if this car is way too tight or way too loose. So it looks like they made an adjustment of some sort. So the tire changer put the wedge adjuster on there. Biffle was a little too loose on the opening run. He was perfect that last run. They adjusted the car. I'm not sure why. We'll see how it's going to work out for him. Currently in second place, but I don't think everything is cycled through yet. Jeff Green's shown as a leader, so he'll get some bonus points here for at least leading one lap. Biffle's quite a ways ahead of third. Jeff Green on pit road. Biffle didn't take the lead that last time, so it'll be an official lead change this time at the line. Kevin Harvick's about 4 seconds off the lead, so he has cycled ahead of Dale Jarrett now after that pit stop. He tries to run down the Biff. Biffle, though, with a 4-second advantage, that is quite a bit. Though it was quite a bit gained by Harvick, speaking of the fact he was 10+ seconds off the lead. So gained about 6 seconds by pitting 2 to 3 laps before Biffle. Car still feels all right, despite whatever adjustment was made there. Biffle and his crew wasn't looking for an adjustment, but they got one anyway. Doesn't seem to have fallen off a pace either, because Harvick's not really gaining on him at the same time. Biffle took the lead just over 50 laps into the race today from Tony Stewart. Stewart led the first 52 laps of the day. Biffle's led every lap since. Well, outside of the cycling of pit stops, that is. We know Ward Burt and Jeff Green have led at least a lap or two because they've stayed out longer between the two of them on the first 2 sets of green flag stops today. Again, we haven't had a caution. Elliott Sadler now about to go his second lap down in the race.
Number 38 is still there. Still beside you. The 38 car is gaining on you. Okay, one clear.
Another rival coming up, David Green, already a couple laps down. Biffle going to catch him this lap. Hopefully Biffle's car's handling all right still, but he's going to want to get around Green as soon as he can. Moving off deep there through turns 3 and 4. Looks to the inside of Green. Trying to get all the way off the racetrack right now to get around David Green, and he clears him. That's one way to do it. Clipping the grass intentionally to get on by, and luckily these cars don't sit as low as the Gen 6 cars today, because that would not have worked. Would have damaged the splitter so heavily, but
Got one on.
so I've been in contact there with Kevin LePage.
Best place for him is in your rear view mirror. Still beside you. Keep moving. Still there. Okay, we're clear.
Terry Labonte, another ally up ahead for Biffle. Labonte's trying to get around somebody right now, likely for position. Be Jerry Nadeau in the 0-1. So yeah, both those guys are on the lead lap, but maybe not for long. Biffle not looking to intentionally spin a rival unless he needs to. If he starts to get a substantial amount of damage on his race car, he will consider it, that's for sure.
Got one on. The 5 car is still there. Number 5 is right behind him.
Right now, with this kind of a lead and things pretty well spaced out for the most part, things are looking on the upside for Greg Biffle.
They're all around.
Kenny Wallace now about to go 2 laps down. Trying to get around Mike Skinner in the 4. Skinner already 2 laps down himself, about to go 3 laps down if I'm not mistaken. Biffle to the inside of Skinner.
Number 4 is still there.
Good quick work of Mike Skinner. Now we'll try to get around Wallace himself, and he gets to not Mike Wallace. Kenny Wallace is inside. So there is relation between the two of them, but that would be Kenny Wallace on the 23 right there. Now another large gap before the next set of cars. Likely looking at lap 192 as the next pit stop for Greg Biffle. That would be, again, 64 laps from the last run. Biffle was able to go 64 laps on the opening fuel run and the second fuel run of the race. So it's pretty much the sweet spot. It's good for Biffle to know that he can stretch the car that far without having to save any gas. Just in case, because we have seen fuel mileage races here in the Coke 600 in the past. This thing runs caution free. Don't be surprised if we see one again. Seen a few guys bounce it off the wall off of turn 1 already. Pretty harshly, too, getting into the corner. Those were all 3 within the first 100 laps of the race. Biffle has led the most up to this point, though. Leading about 80 to 90 laps currently in the race. On a 5-second lead on Kevin Harvick. Harvick had the highest of highs as far as how the season started, winning the Daytona 500. That was on a fuel mileage race. We've only had a couple fuel mileage races this season. 2 of them that we've actually gotten to the end of. and that was one of them. Pocono was the other. Definitely shown well in the fuel mileage races, though. 2nd and 10th. Not too bad. A couple of top 10s in those races. I'm sure he would have loved to have won. Could have very well had more wins this season. You look at a race like Texas where he was leading with 60 to go, got wiped out. Rockingham, he was running really well, got wiped out. That was more recently. Had about a third of the race left there. Led the most, had a pretty decent sized lead at the time. Tough break, the Daytona road course. Was running good, had a fast car, was leading with about halfway through that race, but road course is not having that many laps. He's looking good, the game glitch there. Martinsville was another race. He was pretty dominant until he started getting wiped out, and the one thing just kept piling on to other things, and he was just constantly getting wiped out. That took him out of the race there as well. I mean, that's 3 or 4 races he very well could have won if he just made it to the end. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. That would put him in a much better spot than where he's at now, 22nd in the point standings. But how many could he jump if he has a good day today? Because you got to figure a lot of those guys, obviously where he's racing with, majority of them, are not going to be anywhere close to winning the championship at season end. And they're going to be running mid-pack most of the season as it is outside the top 10. So he'll easily be able to get around those guys quickly. Again, it's going to be those guys in the top 10 of the point standings. He's going to need to have bad days. We saw Jimmy Johnson running outside the top 15 early. Jeff Gordon was outside the top 20 and fading early. Both those guys are still in the lead lap right now, but you have to imagine they're not running that well. We know they're at least not in the top 5. We haven't seen them since. Thought the car's getting a little bit looser on the longer run. Almost halfway through this run. Fuel window, that is. I'd have to agree with you there to a certain extent, Davion. I think with the field only having cars from last season, or half the cars, I should say, in the race, you're only going to see right around 20 drivers. It's going to get spaced out pretty easily. That's a bigger road course as it is, too, so only having 20 cars out there, it's going to be a track position game. It's a random draw as far as how the starting lineup will be determined. It's always been like that for the Bud Shootout. So we'll see how the starting lineup is. Heck, if Chase Elliott has to start at the back of the field, it's going to make for a fun show. It'd be interesting to see if he gets up to the front, because you also got to take into consideration it's a shorter race. Road courses are shorter in laps anyway, as it is. I don't know what the length of that race is looking like. It could very easily be only a 30-lap race. Probably a couple stages, I'd have to imagine. I could see like a 20-lap and a 10-lap shootout, but I mean, heck, put Chase Elliott at the back and see what he can do. That'd be a fun show. I think it'd be pretty entertaining if you did it that way. But if Chase Elliott gets to start up front, it's probably not going to be that interesting. And you're not going to have to deal with lap traffic either, with it being that short of a race and that few of cars. I think it was an alright move on paper, originally when they scheduled it, but now that there's 6 road courses on the NASCAR schedule as well, and that pretty much is like a 7th, I think that kind of hurts it a little bit. If we would have had still 3 road courses on the schedule, I think adding one more like that would have been pretty alright. I'd rather have it on the oval. I mean, it's the kickoff of speed weeks. So I'd rather have it be on the oval, but it is what it is. I'm not too upset about it. It's just an exhibition race anyway.
Fuel is at hand. The 43 car is outside.
You never know, they could still add it.
Things are working well with it.
Not impossible.
That way. Okay, we're clear. The 19 car behind.
Forgot around Vittipaldi working on Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 now.
Still there. Keep me.
I think Mayfield's going a second lap down currently.
You're clear.
Joe Nemechek. Him and Biffle had a run in earlier today. This car's not banged up at all, so might make for an easier pass this time around Nemechek.
The 25 car.
At least Biffle's hoping that that's the case. Oh, a little contact.
Play nice. We don't want
Well,
you.
Nemechek definitely took a shot, but Biffle able to get around him. Definitely trying to block him for about a half a lap before that contact as well. Just under an 8-second lead now, but nice and calm, but we still got a long ways to go. Still over half the race remains. Anything could happen. Still has to prepare for that, for when the time comes. He's got Ashton Lewis coming up as well right here, and those two haven't had a keen race with one another, to say the least. This is already trying to take a swing at Biffle multiple times. Pretty big swings nonetheless. Biffle's got a big run to the inside, 3 wide. Cutting it through the grass to try and make sure that
All clear, buddy.
Lewis wasn't going to take a swing at him. That's one way to do it. Biffle's doing whatever it takes right now to keep that car clean. Might have worn the tires out a little bit more by doing that, but I think in the long run it'll be all right.
He can try something if he catches you. Car outside. Clear.
Oh man. Not as big of a slide as we've seen from Biffle off of turn 4. Still trying to catch the car, and he did. have loosened it up just a hair under that last stop, even though Biffle wasn't asking for it. Again, as we've seen these tires wear out a little bit more, it's getting a little bit looser during this run. So might have to tighten it back up just a hair and put it back to the way it was during that second run under the next stop. Likely about 20 laps away from green flag pit stops once again. Again, Biffle's stop is likely going to be right about lap 192. Not as heavy as we've seen lap traffic as well, just off of turn 4 this time, lap 171 now. Nearing the halfway mark. Oh, Kevin Grubb got a little loose. He kept it off the wall, though. Seen a couple guys hit the wall getting that loose earlier. And Craven gave Biffle a lot of room to the inside of him. Schrader looking to make a pass on Steve Park. This one nearly went 3 wide. Almost came up into Schrader on corner exit. Kept it off him. Keeps it rolling. Another rival, David Green, once again. This one sure wants to make a pass. Will swing there off of turn 4 from Green. Biffle gets around it. Biffle takes the hit, moves on. Luckily, he hit him on the straightaway and not in the center of the corner like we've seen from guys a couple times today. Now up to almost a 12-second lead on Harvick. 4 seconds was the difference between Biffle and Harvick when that last set of pit stops cycled through.
Don't push your fuel too far. Number 9,
To the inside, off of turn 4, underneath Bill Elliott. The problem with not being able to draft the rivals, especially like for instance Ashton Lewis being that minus 100, we're not gonna be able to draft him enough to come down for that. It's so hard to draft on these 1.5-mile racetracks. You just don't have long enough of a straightaway. I've been drafting the big moment there off of turn 4. Biffle got really loose. He had Sterling Marlin clear. He stays in front of him. Toward the end of the run here. But yeah, you can't really draft them all the way around the track. So I've been trying to do that when I'm further away. And as I'm reeling them in, and that number just isn't coming down at all. I'm not too worried about it for the moment. Again, if we need cautions, I'm going to turn them because we have a lot of payback. Still get. To the inside of Kevin LePage off turn 4. Get around him and a lot more open room again. Green flag pit stops now for the 3rd time today are starting. I believe Kevin Harvick's on pit road as well already, so Harvick is pitted quite a ways earlier than Biffle this time. Trying something different. Give him and his team an A for effort, that's for sure. You're at risk, though. If a caution does come out, you're going to get trapped a lap down. But having it go caution-free up to this point, I think he's banking on that being the case through these sets of pit stops. Nearing the halfway point still. Mike Skinner's rival indicator came down 4. He wasn't a rival, though, either, but... Johnson, Mark Martin coming out of the pits. So again, lap 192 is where Biffle's looking at the pit. 364 lap runs, all caution free so far in this race. Stewart, who started on the pole and led a lot of laps early, he hasn't led since Biffle took over the lead. Not only that, he was outside the top 5 before coming to pit road right there. So Tony Stewart, losing ground over the course of the race, comes in as the points leader. Biffle really sideways off of turn 4. He's in the wall. Johnson hits him hard, and in the air goes Johnson. Hard crash for Jimmy Johnson. Biffle tried not to overcorrect it. Couple of big hits there, and luckily he crossed the start-finish line after the yellow. That's going to trap quite a few guys a lap down, too, but that is not at all what Greg Biffle wanted. Look at how heavily damaged that car is, but he's thankful to still be in the race. It just took off on him. So looking to have that half round to wedge in it again there. More drivers come to pit road here as well. Scary accident off turn 4. Still some pretty significant damage there. We'll see if we'll get a couple debris cautions perhaps. Biffle wins the race off pit road with ease. Nice clean stop for him and his crew. Green flag back in the air. And here we go. It actually looks like he's going to be in 7th. Said he came out first. I think he was first off pit road, but we might have had some guys stay out of the pits there. How much speed is that knocked out of the 16 car? He's hoping not much. This car's really loose, getting up to speed. He was trying to get to the bottom behind Dale Jr. and he ran right in the side of him. And we have a blown engine at the front of the field now. Whoa, Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon has blown an engine. Points implications there. He's in the top 5. Already wasn't having a great day. That doesn't help. The damage is really upsetting this race car right now for Greg Biffle. He might have to tighten it up again. That and get out of traffic. Cleared Sterling Marlin there. There's Gordon finally making his way to pit road. That is the 3rd engine failure we've seen now today. Contact with Rusty Wallace now. Now pinch going off into turn 3. Wallace had wiped Biffle out in the All-Star race, taking him out of a share to win $1 million. Just on the last stream on this game on Sunday. Room to the inside of Wallace into turn 1 there. Full drove it in hard. For 7th, hasn't cleared him yet. Still working on him. Jimmy Johnson really upset with Greg Biffle right now, despite the fact Johnson piled into the accident. Biffle to his inside. It's not understanding why Johnson's upset. I mean, Biffle tried to correct the race car. Johnson hits him. In the center of turns 3 and 4, Biffle able to get right around him, though, thankfully, and they keep on going. They seem to pick the most dangerous spots to try and wipe you out in this game. I'd say the race car still looking halfway decent. Visually it doesn't, but on that damage indicator it's in the yellow. It's not the red, so that's good. Even after Johnson took that swipe. Track position is lost. These are probably lead lap cars that pitted, and then when the caution came out, they were able to stay on the lead lap. Again, because Biffle was in the lead when the caution came out, plus with the leader crashing too probably didn't help. Didn't get to keep his spot, but at least he crossed the start-finish line, because if he would have had to make it all the way back around when that accident happened, he likely wasn't going to make it all the way back around. Not completely totaling the car. Martin got really loose going into turn 1. Biffle wasn't close enough to get underneath him. Teammates battling for position here. Jeff Burton, Matt Kenseth, also Roush Fenway teammates. So that makes 4 Roush Fenway cars running back to back. Looking to the inside of Martin off of turn 4, trying to stay underneath him and perhaps make a move now into turn 1. And Biffle will clear. Not for position though. Biffle still in 7th. So Martin's a lap down, perhaps trying to just work his way to the front and get back on the lead lap. Another blown engine on the racetrack, it looked like. Not sure who it was. Somebody was on pit road there. It's actually come back out on the racetrack. I think it was just a scheduled stop and they were coming out of the box perhaps. Trying to get to the inside of his teammate Burton, trying to race him clean. Burton trying to block him off at the same time. Biffle on his inside down the front stretch. Hangs in with him. And he'll make the pass now for 6th into turns 1 and 2. Well, there's a rival, Ryan Newman. Probably the biggest rivalry on the racetrack this season between Newman and Biffle. Anybody in the garage area, Biffle owes payback to. It's Newman. Newman has wiped him out 3 times in the last 5 races. Biffle first trying to get around Tony Stewart. Turns 1 and 2. He's going to get to Stewart's inside off of turn 2 now. Trying to draft Newman to pull himself by Smoke. Into turns 3 and 4. Biffle stuck the bottom beautifully and he clears Tony Stewart. That was not for position either. Look at Newman blocking on the inside. Biffle all over Ryan Newman's back bumper. Got to watch the bottom and make sure Matt Kenseth doesn't get around him there. Newman now trying to make a move. Race leader is just starting to pull away. Biffle to the inside of Newman for now. Side by side off into turn 1. Biffle slid around quite a bit. But he clears Newman for 5th. Nice clean pass. Kenseth now to the inside of Newman for position. Trying to follow Greg Biffle, his teammate. Junior left a lot of bottom open through 1 and 2. Biffle gets to his inside. He's drafting Harvick in the process. Trying to get the pole, but again, it's so hard to get that big of a pole on a 1.5 miles. Biffle up to fourth.
Nice job. You're clear.
Johnny Benson holding these guys up in second.
I'm clocking the leader at about 2 seconds ahead.
Trying to get underneath Harvick.
29 car. Top 5.
Slight bit of contact there. Biffle kind of moved him up out of the groove.
29. He's still there. Careful.
Pulls right on past him.
29 car is looking right. They're all around.
Great move to fake high, going low. Biffle slid it in there. Couldn't get underneath Benson.
They're on both sides.
Biffle's going to try that move again, see if it works this time.
Leader's got you by 2 seconds.
Got one eye.
Doesn't have a lot of room, but he does get under him that time.
The 10 car.
Benson on the outside, Biffle on the inside. For second place is the battle. Junior waiting in the wings behind him. Probably going to follow Biffle to get to third. Passing Johnny Benson himself, I'd have to imagine, and that is the case. Race leader's been able to drive away with Benson kind of holding these guys up, and that race leader is Bobby Labonte. Started outside the top 10 today as well, but Labonte leading laps here in the Coke 600 currently. He's led some laps in the cycling and pit stops already. He's having a good run for himself right now, though. We'll see if Biffle catch back up. Biffle doesn't seem as fast as what he was
The leaders are about a second
before he got involved in that accident. But he's still got a pretty good car. Yeah, they don't have the actual same layout the Cup Series used, or I should say that any series in NASCAR used this year when they were at the Daytona Road Course. If you watched the race that we had, it was a different configuration.
1.5 seconds off the
I wish they had the exact configuration. It'd be pretty cool. I know, obviously, games like Project Cars 2 does, because you can race sports car series around the road course there. Or the sports cars do race there for IMSA, therefore that track's in that game. But as far as NASCAR video games, strictly NASCAR video games, yeah, they don't have the exact layout on any of them. Just kind of a fantasy track in the EA games with the Daytona infield. Still 1.4 seconds off of Labonte for the lead. Just past halfway through the Coke 600, less than 200 laps to go. Over 300 miles complete. And we are already 2 hours into this race. One caution up to this point.
off the leader.
Slowly pulling away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Biffle seems to hold a lot lower exit off of these corners, especially turn 4. And I think that's where he's able to make up the most time, is that center off of these corners. He can really get a good undercut. We've seen that on these high banked racetracks quite a bit this season, and that's the case again here today. Especially after the couple adjustments he's made. Barely over a half second off the lead now. There's a lap car. A not so distant future for Bobby Labonte, but after that one lap car, there's another open gap before we get into more lap traffic. It's about halfway on fuel, so they got about another 30 laps left, roughly, on this actual fuel tank. At least for what Greg Biffle and everybody else that pitted under the last and only caution today. Labonte within reach. And again, with the race lead, Ashton Lewis is that lap car that is coming up in the picture. He has caused problems for Greg Biffle all day, but Biffle needs to get through him here and to try and get to the lead nonetheless as well. Labonte getting held up. Trying to get to the inside of Bobby Labonte. Labonte checked up a little bit there. Biffle to the inside of Ashton Lewis. Lewis with a shot on Biffle. Labonte holds to the lead. Labonte got a little loose. Into turn 1, side by side for the lead. Biffle on the inside, Labonte on the outside. Off of turn 2, they're still side by side now down the back. Into turn 3, Biffle will clear Bobby Labonte. So Greg Biffle back out in front again for the first time in the second half of the race now. And the first time since the caution. Still just over 9 gallons of fuel left in the race car.
Your right front's wearing down. Keep an eye on it.
Kevin LePage is the next lap car.
Got one outside. They're on both sides.
Yeah, Tim Irvin, the insane thing about the car being as damaged as it is, it was simply from one accident and really one hit. Well, 2 if you count Biffle hitting the wall. Biffle got in the wall. He had a relatively clean car. It was just before the halfway point. Hit head on off of turn 4, and Jimmy Johnson ran right in the back of him with nowhere to go. And the damage on the race car right now. It was way worse than this, and Biffle had to pit under the caution because of it. It's right at about his pit window anyway. But a little bit before it. We'll be seeing green flag pit stops in less than 20 laps from now as well. Biffle will get to repair that car even more. Doesn't really receive much damage during this run after the caution, so that's good. Outside of really just Ashton Lewis drilling him in the right side of the race car, and that was it.
43 car is up high. Number 43 is coming high. Clear.
Biffle to the inside. David Green
Easy on the bucket, buddy. We don't want him coming back at us.
just about turned Greg Biffle
Careful.
once again.
We're clear.
That slowed him up quite a bit, too. Now he's blocking Biffle. Biffle doesn't want to get under him yet. Biffle playing nice right now, but Labonte only 1.8 seconds off the lead again.
Got one outside. You're clear.
Biffle's, I mean, he knows he's only 15 laps away from pit stops. He'll get to repair the car even more. And he wipes out David Green. That's one way to do it. That'll bring out a caution. Second of the race. Wow, Green hit hard back there. Looked like he had it saved, and I think he might have ended up getting back into the wall. Oh, Dale Jr. made contact with David Green. And kind of Biffle's reaction to, well, you kind of deserved it. That'll bring out the caution. We'll be seeing pit stops. And that was probably the best way he could have done it. No damage there, and everybody is coming to pit road right now. Biffle going to tighten the car up a little bit more. That is the second caution of the race. And Biffle, not too proud that that's what it had to come to, but Green has slammed into him a few times already today, and I'm sure he was somewhat all right with having to do that to bring out the caution. And again, that's Biffle saying, I'm going to get to the end of this race one way or another. I'm not having anybody take me out this time. See if he can win the race off pit road. Fittipaldi's a lap down. There's Junior. I believe he's on the lead lap. Labonte, Newman.
Some guys stayed out to gain track.
And Biffle scored ahead of Newman there off of pit road. So Bobby Labonte, Dale Jr. will line up in front of Greg Biffle. Jimmy Johnson, another one of Biffle's rivals here today, right in front of him on the restart. Biffle wants to get around him quickly. Going off into turn one, and he'll duck right in front of him, and he's trying to get away from him now, and Johnson about turns him.
Just lost third. 3 wide.
Oh, back up into Craven as Biffle tried to get back up the racetrack. Johnson now tries to wipe him out.
1.5 seconds off the leader, buddy.
That's why Biffle tried to be not too happy with him. Guys back down again.
Number 30 is up high.
contact between Biffle and Steve Park. Park being the lap car. Restarted on the inside. Johnson's a lap down, too. Another driver ahead of Biffle in the standings. Johnson went high. He was trying to get around Jeff Burton for a couple laps since the restart. Wasn't really able to. Amazing Jr. having the damage from the last caution, piling into David Green and still winning the race off pit road to restart the lead. Ooh, maybe a little contact with a couple drivers a little bit further up ahead. Biffle got a little tight in turns 3 and 4 that time. Burton keeps blocking. Johnson's leaving the bottom open, but Biffle knows if he gets to the inside, Jimmy's going to door slam him. See, Jeff Burton might try to help him out here. Biffle and Burton being teammates. Johnson went high. Biffle couldn't stick the inside, though. He's trying to get there on Johnson now. Just couldn't get the run off of turn 2. Speed on by him. Yeah, CPU does DNF in the game. Ooh, contact off of 4. That was accidental. Biffle got really loose there and regathered the race car. Johnny Benson's all over the back of Greg Biffle now as these guys are getting held up. I don't know if there's lap cars that are ahead of this that are holding them up. We know Jimmy Johnson's a lap down. He is blocking the heck out of Greg Biffle. I think Jeff Burton's a lap down too, if I'm not mistaken. On the inside of Johnson. Oh, little tag. Washes up the track. Contact now. Johnson slams back into him. And into the wall goes Biffle. Racing to the bottom of the track here to get up to speed and stay out of everybody's way so nobody else piled in. Tony Stewart now to the inside of Greg Biffle. Off of turn 4, Biffle got loose. He's still trying to catch the car. My goodness. A wacky race today, all of a sudden in the second half, as we've seen many times this season. Oh, Tony Stewart got loose into turn 1. Biffle couldn't capitalize. Despite getting loose, Tony still gets to the inside of Michael Waltrip. Biffle following Stewart. Biffle really wants to get around him. Can't get underneath him though. About 150 to go. Yeah, 10 drivers are on the lead lap right now. The first caution that came out today came out in the middle of green flag stops and trapped quite a few drivers a lap down. But it seems like most of the faster cars are the ones that are on the lead lap. looking low, trying to get underneath Stewart off of turn 4. Oh, little contact.
The 20 car is
They hang on to it down the front stretch.
5 seconds on you. All clear, buddy.
Still trying to stay to the inside of Stewart. Drives it hard into turn 1 now.
Number 20 is up
And he'll clear him off of turn 2.
Is looking right. You're clear.
Now going to hope to get around Mark Martin. These guys are teammates.
The 6 car isn't going to let you by easily. Number 6 is outside.
Mark's not mad enough at Biffle to try to wreck him. Biffle just couldn't quite get the run off of turn 2 and stay with him, though.
Keep hitting those marks. Leader's about 5
Well,
seconds.
Martin got loose into turn 1. Biffle trying to capitalize. He gets underneath him. That could be the advantage. Biffle needs. He wants to stay to the inside. I wonder how much damage is affecting Greg Biffle down the straightaways with his top end speed. Now through 3 and 4, he clears Martin off of 4 with a slide job. Still 5.5 seconds off the lead. Dale Jarrett's really faded. He's back to 9th. Biffle trying to run him down for the position. Jarrett's nearly 5 seconds off the lead.
Keep him behind you if you can.
The good news is we have a few races before the next short track, which could be beneficial for Biffle, not only getting to the end of the races, but to try and win. Tracks he's got a good chance at. Chicagoland's coming up soon. Talladega's coming up soon. We saw Biffle win the Aaron's 499 in the first Talladega race this season.
We don't want him.
Biffle's led a lot of laps today. Up to this point, he still led the most, so he could very well clinch 10 bonus points as well.
Keep an eye on your rear. He's not too happy with you. Come on, buddy. We're 6 seconds back. Let's get up there. Trying to keep him behind you. Number 88 is up high. The 88 car is still there.
Much like with Mark Martin, Biffle just couldn't stay to the inside of Dale Jarrett down the back straightaway. Both Jarrett and Biffle closing in on Jimmy Johnson. Johnson put Biffle in the wall, which dropped him back to 10th. He was in 5th at the time. Jarrett trying to block for the spot. Biffle to the inside again off of turn 2. Will he stay with him enough to get around him this time?
The 88 car is still there.
Going into turn 3, he's just got to stay underneath him.
Still there. Keep
And he will.
position.
Biffle clears Jarrett for 9th. And again, Johnson is upset because he got caused in an accident where Biffle got loose off the turn 4, hit the wall. Johnson ran into the back of Biffle. I'm not sure why he's upset with Biffle for that. To the point where he put him in the wall last time he saw him. Biffle with a mistake into turn 1. We've seen that from multiple drivers today. Johnson going to try to leave the bottom open again. I mean, he's done that a couple times. Biffle gets to the bumper.
Still there. Careful. Clear.
Again, just can't keep up down the straightaways. Both closing in on Jeff Burton. Burton trying to block Johnson meanwhile. It's not for position for Biffle to get around Johnson again. It has to be frustrating for Greg Biffle because of it.
Still there. Okay, buddy. We're about 5 seconds behind the leader.
Oh, big shot. Oh, Johnson puts Biffle in the wall.
Right behind him. Clear.
Trying to stay on the outside of the track and work his way back down. Oh, down to the apron. Huge hit. Robbie Gordon goes around. Biffle trying to get to the bottom before the car started to slide on by. A big hit, and Biffle is still somehow in the race. How did that not knock him out or blow a fuel cell? Major damage to the back of the 16 now. Limping this car around the racetrack. There goes the debris. Caution's out for the 3rd time tonight. He was waiting on the outside for an opening, thought he had the opening to get down, and Gordon just slammed right in the back of him. And caution for debris. And Biffle's got to come to pit road and repair it once again. And you're seeing a lot of the drivers hit pit road as well. Crazy turn of events once again in the second. And I think Biffle knows Johnson's got another thing coming. That is the 2nd time he's wiped him out. That was a lot more vicious than the first time. Not sure why we're making adjustments again. It's like you don't make the crew make adjustments and they keep making adjustments for you. Crazy. "22-second stop, but just trying to repair the damage as much as he can.
We're deep in the field. Be careful and start working your way up.
And luckily, again, there was only 10 drivers on the lead lap. And the sad part is, again, for Biffle, Johnson is not for position. Biffle just keeps getting wiped out. He's actually back to 16th now. Oh, contact with Fittipaldi on the restart.
43. He's still there.
Some of these guys on older tires up here.
43 car.
Biffle 3 wide into turn 3.
Way to get ready, buddy.
That's the best way to get around David Green, having Ken Schrader right there. Oh, off of turn 4. Guys are checking up. Somebody came to pit road. Not sure who it was. No contact, though. Everybody stays clean. Double file through the pack.
They're on both sides.
Not sure why they didn't pit under caution. I don't know if they had an issue or not. Could see debris off of Robbie Gordon's car as well with how hard he hit Biffle.
They're all around.
Might see more cars coming to pit road. Biffle's going high just in case. But nobody came to the pits that time. So into turn 1. Trying to get back into this. It's amazing how many spots Biffle has lost with all the carnage that has gone on. 3 cautions now in this race, all within the last 100 laps. 3 wide move. Jarrett got loose and Biffle slid right around him. What a move. We know Harvick's fast. He's been in the top 3 most of the day. Him and Biffle are side by side. Harvick trying to get around Jeff Burton as well. Not going to be able to do it there. There's Labonte. He's been fast today as well. Caught in traffic on the restart. Biffle is making moves. 3 wide through 3 and 4, and he is going now. He does not want to waste any time. Biffle racing like a madman right now. Full contact with Rusty Wallace. Wallace trying to hang in there. Wallace, Biffle, Labonte still 3 wide. Harvick up the middle with a run. Falls in line now behind Terry Labonte. Luckily, Robbie Gordon's not too upset with Biffle. Not enough to take a swing at him. And oh, no, Rusty Wallace is in the wall. That's going to stack up the field behind. Wallace got loose into turn 1. Handful of different drivers have done that today. It might be the second time Rusty Wallace has done it. That really stacked him up behind. Kind of what Biffle needed. Look at him hard on the brakes into turn 3. He drove it in so deep to get around the lap car of Sadler. There's Nemechek. With a swing on Biffle. Biffle's right side of his race car severely damaged right now. How is he going to get around those guys? So again with a run. Off of turn 4. Drove it in deep into turns 1 and 2. Clearing Nemechek. I don't know how many more hits that right side of the race car could take. It's taken quite a few all night. Biffle will get right around Nemechek. Nemechek, another driver that's a lap down, trying to pull off those maneuvers on Biffle. Teammate of Biffle, Mark Martin letting him go. Biffle trying to get underneath Dale Jr. Jr. with a block. And Jr.'s trying to get around Tony Stewart himself. Biffle into the back of Jr. Loosening him up in turns 3 and 4. Trying to make the pass, but Tony Stewart now is holding Biffle up. Tell Jr. and Biffle are faster than Stewart. Stewart got loose into turn 1. Biffle gets underneath him and will clear him for 5th. Biffle willing this damaged race car to the front of the field. And there you see Jimmy Johnson lurking. Biffle to the inside of Waltrip for position. I don't think Biffle can take a shot to the right side of the race car. I don't know how he's going to get around him. He might have to turn him. And it would be well-deserved for Johnson. Biffle didn't do anything to Johnson today. Johnson just piled into that first accident Biffle caused by just simply getting loose off of turn 4 and nosing it into the wall himself. Junior trying to get back around Greg Biffle. Biffle blocking Junior off. Johnson continues to block. Biffle goes high to hold off Johnson again. And Junior with a run on the outside. What a great pass on the outside by Dale Jr. to get around Greg Biffle. Junior trying to go high. Biffle rubs the wall into turn 3. Now he's got to hold off Harvick. Johnson is holding everybody up right now. And Harvick, oh, Junior got loose into turn 1. Harvick was looking high. He checked up because Junior got loose. Biffle, to the inside of Dale Jr. Again, it's Harvick lurking.
Number 8, he's still there. Be patient. Going wide.
Biffle got in the back of Dale Jr.
Looking high.
Off of turn 4.
3.5 seconds behind the leader. The 8 car is still there. Take care of that car.
Oh no, that might not have worked. Johnson with a shot into turn 3. Contact between Johnson and Biffle. Johnson runs way up the racetrack trying to get to the back bumper of Biffle again. And Biffle trying to drive away down the front stretch. That pass was for position. Jimmy Johnson has gotten back on the lead lap with the prior cautions. And Biffle finally gets around him for 3rd. And Junior gets around him as well. Junior might be a little faster than Greg Biffle, so we'll see. Dale Jr. might be able to make a pass. Harvick gets around Johnson now. Big Mac the GOAT, welcome to the stream.
Interval between you and the leader is 4.5.
Caution, debris. I believe off of Biffle's car is right front. Fourth caution of the race, second for debris. Harvick just got around Junior as they race back to the caution flag. And a sigh of relief. Playing this on my PlayStation 2. See if these leaders hit pit road. They're not going to. Greg Biffle staying out. He's taking a risk. He does not want to line up behind Jimmy Johnson again. Ryan Newman leading this race. And now Joe Nemechek is lined up right in front of Greg Biffle on the restart. So Biffle chose not to pit. None of the leaders hit pit road under that last caution. It's an interesting decision, to say the least. Especially with that right front unprotected now. That's a decision Greg Biffle wanted to make for himself.
Number 12 isn't going to let you out easily. Don't let him by. Try not to hold him up either. We're right there. Let's see if we can lead this thing.
Biffle drove it in too deep into turns 1 and 2. Ryan Newman's 4th position. He is a rival as well. He's not upset enough. He is blocking Biffle right now. Biffle slides into turn 3. Loose lap car in front of Newman. Allows Biffle to get to his inside off of turn 4. That was Bill Elliott in the 9 who got loose. Kenseth is leading this race. Oh, contact. Biffle got tight into turns 1 and 2. But he'll get around Bill Elliott, clearing him. Now he's got to work with Joe Nemechek. Off of turn 4. Nemechek takes a shot. Biffle's in the grass. Ground lost as he comes back on the racetrack. What a tough break. It drops him only 1 position. Newman got around him for 3rd. Big save. Surprised that right front's hanging on. That is what Biffle did not want to see. There's more damage to the right side of the race car, specifically the right front. It is unprotected. The debris, that right front fender has already shedded off. still have over half a fuel run before the next pit stops. And these guys may get to 60 laps to go. If they can, those will be the last pit stops of the race today. I don't think the cautions are done yet either. We've had 4 of them tonight. We are almost 3 hours into this race already. Longest race on the channel in history is the Coke 600. On NASCAR Heat 4, it went 3 hours and 33 minutes. We are on pace to beating that tonight with this NASCAR Thunder 2004 stream for the Coke 600. Kenseth still leads. Biffle willing this car at the front of the field in third. Doesn't have the straightaway speed that car needs to get around even these lap cars. We'll get around Bill Elliott. Sorry, Elliott Sadler, rather. Bill Elliott is the next car in front of him. No, sorry, the other. Oh, no, car loose! Off of turn 4, Jerry Nadeau. Biffle ran into the back of Mayfield after Nadeau kind of checked everybody up. I'm not sure how Nadeau got loose. More damage to the front of the car. And now Mayfield's upset with Biffle, even though it was obviously an accident. Nadeau checked up and Biffle couldn't check up in time. Now he's got to worry about Jeremy Mayfield all of a sudden. Might be able to draft him enough down the straightaway. No, probably not. Biffle trying to draft with Jeremy Mayfield just enough right now. Just to knock it below 60. And he did. That was a good move by Biffle. It costed him a position. Kurt Busch got around, but that's going to be the easiest way for him to get around Jeremy Mayfield, was to draft him enough, drop that rival indicator below 60. Mayfield's still blocking Biffle, though. Biffle tight in turns 3 and 4. Can't get the car to turn. I don't know how Tony Stewart did not get under him and take over the 4th position. Grass slowed him down there. I don't think he's going to be able to make that move again tonight. Doesn't have the race car he once did. Damage has by far hindered the progress. Look at the blocking going on. These guys are a lap down, and that is just so frustrating. The driver behind the wheel of the 16 to know that these lap cars have raced him the way they have most of the season, but especially tonight in the second half of this race. And he doesn't have the straightaway speed anymore to get around him. Or at least get to the side of him and try to make a pass in the corner. Side drafting Elliott Sadler. Driving it off into turn 3, and he'll clear Sadler that way. Still trying to work on Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield got loose into turn 1. That's the opening Biffle needs. Mayfield got loose. Biffle pulls up, clears him off of turn 2. Boy, did he need that. Drives it in deep. He's so close to that back bumper of Biffle. Biffle trying to keep him behind him. He's only 1.5 seconds off of Matt Kenseth, who still leads this race. Less than 100 laps to go in this 400 lap, 600 mile race. Again, the longest race of the season. Glad to know you guys have had fun tonight. I know I have. It's been an interesting race. From my side of things, kind of stressful, just between simply trying to avoid the rivals over the last 100 laps or so. With a severely damaged car. Biffle doing a great job, nonetheless, keeping himself in it. Can he run down Ryan Newman, who is in second? Or third, rather. Kurt Busch is up to second now all of a sudden, and Kurt Busch is right behind his teammate Matt Kenseth for the lead. A lot of lap cars. Biffle's still going to have to try and get back around Nemechek, who Nemechek had kind of door slammed Biffle already on this run and a couple times leading up to the point today. It's going to be tough to pass. 3 lap cars in the way. I think he's hoping that Jerry Nadeau can get to the inside of Nemechek and Biffle can maybe get a run and get underneath Nadeau off of turn 2. He looks way down low. He couldn't do it. It was worth the try. A little tight. Able to clear Craven, though. And there's a shot. A bump and run to get by Nemechek. Risky with the right front to do that, with it being damaged. But he made the move, and it worked out for him that time. Now no more rivals in front of him. Now Newman is close to being a rival. They're not quite at that minus 60 point. He won't take a swing at Biffle, but if Biffle needs a caution, he's willing to take Newman out. Newman has wiped him out a few times already this year. In recent races, nonetheless. Took him out of a good finish in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona as well. Biffle finished 29th that day. And completely wrecked him out of the Martinsville race. Biffle trying to cling on to the draft. And it is a race. And Matt Kenseth, he's lucky he's got the clean air advantage. I think that's why he's holding on to the lead. Kurt Busch has been all over him for a while now. Biffle to the inside of Newman for third. He's got the spot. Into turn 1, clearing Ryan Newman. A surge of life from the 16 of Biffle. Roush Fenway is now 1, 2, 3 on the track. Now Jerry Nadeau's blocking off Greg Biffle. And Kurt Busch to the bottom. Busch to the lead off of turn 4. He gets around Matt Kenseth. Kenseth's first career win came in this race back in his rookie season in 2000. Trying to win another Coke 600. And now he's got another teammate, Greg Biffle, right behind him. Biffle does not want Kurt Busch to get away. Look at Kenseth blocking his teammate for second. Biffle hasn't quite cleared Nadeau yet. Now he does into turn 3. Now he can go to work on Kenseth. Trying to. Looking low, can't make the move yet. Drives it deep into turn number 1. He's there, and he'll clear Kenseth off of turn 2 for second. Still a lap car there, Bill Elliott. In between the 16 and the 97. Biffle gets under him off of turn 4. Nope, not quite. Looked like he was going to get there. Deep dive into turn 1 again. Elliott's just blocking him off. Again, he's a lap down. You really see the blocking in this game in the second half of these full races especially. So drastic no matter whether a car is battling for the lead or is 10 laps down, it doesn't even matter. Biffle with a little bump and run, loosening him off at turn 4. And Biffle will clear Elliott in turns 1 and 2. Looking for Kurt Busch. So all of a sudden, this might have turned into one of the better races on the channel and on this season. I don't think these guys are going to make it to 64 to go. That's the fuel window for Biffle. About 6 gallons of gas left still. Guess you never know. Biffle looks low off of turn 2, but he couldn't stay there. Gonna drive it deep into turn 3. But Kurt Busch throws the block. A little bump and a run to the inside off of turn 4. Side by side for the lead. Rush Fenway teammates. Biffle on the inside. Kurt Busch on the outside into turn 1. Busch giving him a lot of room on the bottom. Greg Biffle has fought his way back to the lead off of turn 2. Refusing to go away. These guys are going to be very, very close on being able to make it on one more pit stop. Quarter of a run's about 12 laps. Might be able to make it to about lap 328. That's still going to leave him about 6 laps short to make it on one more stop. Not everybody pitted under that last caution. I don't know if anybody did or not, to be completely honest. There's a lot of clean air for Biffle right now, too. That is very, very good sign. And Tony Stewart, don't count him out of it. He's up to 3rd, and he is running down both Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle all of a sudden. He's only 0.7 of a second off the lead. And Smoke is trying to get it done here tonight to perhaps win his 2nd race of the year. The points leader, nonetheless. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. We'll have 80 laps to go at the start-finish line. And again, Greg Biffle leads the Coke 600. Tony Stewart running him down at the end of the fuel run. Biffle has just now clinched the most laps led. That is 10 bonus points now. Good day to this point for Biffle, but there has been a lot of ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster of a day. But a good one up to this point. Considering where Biffle's at on the track, Biffle got tight into turns 3 and 4. Stewart gains a little bit more ground. Biffle's going to make this car wide to try and hang on to the lead going into these next set of pit stops. Biffle's got the clean air. That's going to make it even harder for Tony Stewart to pass. No lap traffic in the near vicinity either. He's going to need Biffle to make a mistake. Biffle leaves the bottom open. Stewart closes the gap. Oh, Biffle loose off of turn 4. Tries to catch the car. He does. Tony Stewart pulls up in front. Biffle blocks him into the wall. Biffle trying to hold on to the race lead. Here comes Waltrip and Johnson. Kurt Busch back in it again. End of the run. I think the tires are fading enough, and that's why these guys have ran down Biffle again. The damage on the front of this race car. Specifically the right front. That hit off the wall too. And Tony Stewart's car. Biffle's throwing it all on the line late. 75 to go. He's made it this far. We have 100 miles to go. We are 500 miles in to this 600-mile race. Since Waltrip got back in front of Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart, not only has it allowed Kurt Busch to get back up to second place again, but Biffle's pulled away. And this car is nearly indestructible at this point. Stewart to the back bumper of Kurt Busch, trying to get around him for second place again. Trying to make it to 64 laps to go to for sure grant that Biffle can make it on one more pit stop. It's lap 328 this time. That would mean it would be lap 336 that Greg Biffle would have to come to pit road. Lap 336. Busch still holding on to second place. He's slowly pulling away from Stewart. He's about a half a second ahead of him. See if he gets to battling with Greg Biffle. Biffle's keeping an eye on Stewart and Kurt Busch of when they pit as well, but he's going to have to commit to stay out as long as he can anyway. Trying to stretch this run so if he has to save fuel to the end of the race, he can save fuel. And here comes Ashton Lewis in the 46. Lewis got loose into turn 1. Biffle drives it in deep. Lewis has just put Biffle in the wall, and Kurt Busch is in the lead. Unbelievable. Still in second, but no longer in the lead. Kurt Busch now has that advantage. And Biffle will be coming to pit road with 70 laps to go this time by. Trying not to speed. Doesn't need a caution. Great job getting to pit road. No speeding penalty there. 4 fresh tires. Full tank of fuel. It's going to loosen that car up a little bit. Half around a wedge. At least he can repair the damage on the right front. That's a sigh of relief. That's what Biffle kind of wanted, was to get to this, but he is going to be about 6 laps short on fuel to the end of this race. I don't know if he could save that much. Now he needs this to play green. Biffle does not need a caution until everything cycles through. If these guys are going to be able to make it that far, that is unbelievable. Biffle has come out of the pits in 11th. Pulls back up onto the racetrack. He's going to have a tire advantage, though, with short pitting as well, so maybe he can throw a bigger lead. Very well possible. 68 laps left. People diving in way too deep. Feels weird listening the car up. Just got to remember to turn a lot later. At least it's back to yellow. Right side of the car, the back of it's still severely damaged. The contact from Jimmy Johnson earlier. And then mainly because of Robbie Gordon's contact a little bit later. Now there are cars on pit road. Again, 64 laps as far as Biffle's been able to take it today. So you're likely looking at 6 laps to go, being the next time Greg Biffle hits pit road. At that point, it's likely going to be a fuel-only pit stop. Well, we know if he needs to turn one of his rivals to bring out a caution so he can make it on field to the end, he will. Being Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, or Ashton Lewis at this point, any one of those three. Biffle catches and needs a caution, he will gladly take him out to bring out that 5th caution of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, the leaders have made it to that point. They can make it to the end on one more stop. It is unbelievable how far that they have been able to spread this fuel tank out. Unbelievable.
Number 42, behind. The 42 car is looking hot. Now on both sides. Number 42.
There's McMurray, not for position. Just think, if this was the 500-mile Bank of America 500 race at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Biffle would have won it. He's in the lead at that lap 325 mark. But it's not the case. This is the Coke 600. Needs to somehow find a way to win this race. Dale Jr.'s already hit the pits and cycled in line behind Biffle. When are these guys going to pit, though? It's insane how much further they're going. I've not seen anybody stretch it that far. There were a few drivers that were laps down earlier in the race that were able to go a few laps longer than Biffle. Those first 2 to 3 fuel runs, but that was it. These guys are going 5 to 6 laps longer. Bobby Labonte's pulled to the back of Dale Jr. now. Whenever Stewart, Busch, the rest of the leaders decide to pit, they're going to be faster than Biffle, Labonte, and Jr. here.
He's going high.
Biffle might need a caution at some point, but he's got to wait for everything to cycle through first, otherwise he'd get trapped a lap down. He's trying to stay out of trouble right now. Let everything just kind of cycle itself through. Yes, Tim, this is the definition of what I think is probably the hardest NASCAR game out there. I don't know of a NASCAR game that's any harder than this that I've played. Especially doing these full races. Just surviving to the end is one thing. And there's Ashton Lewis just up ahead. He cost Biffle the lead right before that last green flag stop for Biffle. He can't retaliate and dump him, though, right now. He needs to get around him quick. He's got the fresh tire advantage. Gets to the inside of Lewis. Lewis takes a shot, and Lewis is in the wall. He's got to hope he saves it. I believe he did. No caution, we stay green. That is a sigh of relief there for Biffle. He does not need a caution. He's a lap down. Again, everybody else trying to cycle through. This will likely give Greg Biffle the race lead. But Biffle's going to be short on fuel to the end. Look at Biffle up the middle. Man, that got risky. LePage and Jeff Green. Biffle, little contact with LePage. He backs out of the gas, though. He did not want to go into turn 1 3 wide. Biffle guns it to get by LePage and Green. Good thing, too. They're both coming to pit road. There's Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Biffle. Get ahead of him, man. I'm surprised he didn't make up more time with these fresh tires on Johnson. Johnson wasn't that far behind him. Kevin Grubb coming to pit road. Biffle tried to make sure that he slid in front of him, cleared him there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 hours into this race. Plus hours. He got around David Green, doesn't have to worry about him. And there's Kurt Busch. Came in with the lead. Biffle right behind him. Trying to stay with him, but Kurt Busch has fresher tires. He's still trying to get up to speed, so this is the chance for Biffle to try and just get around him. Oh, Busch got loose into turn 1. Biffle to the inside for the lead. That was the opportunity he needed. Side by side for the eventual lead. Off of turn 2, down the back, but Busch with the fresh tires gets the run on the outside. Biffle's trying to hang in there. Again, not for the lead yet, but the eventual lead. Actually, Ryan Newman cycled ahead of these guys. Newman's 4 seconds ahead. He would have had to have pitted already. How did those guys get ahead? Kurt Busch, I wonder if they might have taken a 2-tire stop. They were quite a ways behind, unless they pitted even before Greg Biffle, which could be the case. Boy, was that a risky move, but that would also mean they can't make it to the end either. And there's Matt Kenseth in second. So I guess this isn't the eventual lead. This is for third and currently third. Clip the grass there, that slowed him down a little bit. Really trying to keep up with Kurt Busch right now. He's short on field to the end. He's going to need a caution. We have cycled through the pit stops now. We are less than 50 laps to go to the end of the race. Biffle needs a caution. The sooner, probably the better. And he'll have to hit pit road under the yellow. Waiting till he catches up to another rival. We do know Ryan Newman is the leader. So if he can catch Ryan Newman at all, that might be the guy to turn. Unless Biffle could save enough to the end. He's 6 laps short roughly, but he can't save fuel from the 4th spot. He's 4 seconds off the lead. He wants to get to the lead first before he starts to save fuel. I think he's faster than Kurt Busch right now, but Busch is holding him up, but rightfully so. Battle for third late in the race. It's been a long night for everybody. Busch opens the door into turn 1. Biffle to the inside. Biffle hold along with him, though, down the back. Biffle trying to get a pole off of Mike Skinner. That could help. Biffle slides into turn 1, and he's up to third. 4.4 off the race lead. Get a pole off Mike Skinner. Going to quickly get to the inside of Christian Vittipoli into turn 3. Nice pass. Oh, Skinner blocked off Elliott. That cut his run off. Biffle gets underneath both Elliott and Skinner. Makes quick work of them. Hart on his sleeve for the 16 of Biffle right now, trying to catch the leaders. The car that has been through a lot tonight. Kurt Busch still hanging with Biffle. Saw Biffle's car fade at the end of the run last run. He's really hoping that's not the case here. He is faster. He's gained 0.3 of a second in the last 3 or 4 laps. So, I mean, he's maybe 1/10 of a second quicker, but this many laps left, he can definitely catch those guys. Lap traffic gets in the way. That could help also. Gotta try to run his line as best as he can, so he can stay in front of Kurt Busch. Don't count Kenseth out of it, of course. He's trying to catch Ryan Newman also. Tim, indeed, what an entertaining race this has been. For all the right and wrong reasons. Just insane what this has come down to. Points leader Tony Stewart's not in the top 5 right now as well. Now, Biffle's been 4.1 off the lead for the last 3 or 4 laps, so he gained 0.3 of a second over a 3 to 4 lap stretch. Now he's been even with the leaders, and Jimmy Johnson is coming. He is on the back bumper of Kurt Busch for 4th. Oh boy, that is not what Greg Biffle wants to see. He needs to keep Johnson behind him. We saw Johnson try to turn Biffle on restart earlier as well on his back bumper, so if he even gets close to the back bumper of Greg Biffle, he'll likely try to turn him. Johnson's just gotten around Kurt Busch now for 4th. And he is coming after the 16 of Biffle. A little loose off of turn 4 there. 39 laps to go. Got to be sweating right now. Simply knowing who's in his rearview mirror. Somebody who has just tormented him all night. think that's Hermie Sadler and Ken Schrader just up ahead. Biffle's going to have to get around these guys quick if he's going to want to keep Johnson behind him. Halfway out of fuel with 38 laps to go. Coming to 37 this time. Biffle, 3 wide, tries to move Schrader out of the way. He needs to go. Got around Hermie Sadler. Still trying to get around Ken Schrader. Side by side, Johnson's closing in. Biffle's gotten around them both, though. So now there's a couple buffer cars between Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle. Tony Stewart is closed into the top 5 and is close to the back of Jimmy Johnson for 4.
I'd like to see him stay back there.
3.6 off the lead from Newman. Newman has been slow the last 3 laps. So Biffle was able to save 1 lap of fuel by simply just running hard, believe it or not. Kenseth is now 1 second back of Newman. Here comes Johnson. Kenny Wallace next lap car that Greg Biffle's going to catch. Biffle in the draft. And Wallace is blocking Greg Biffle for a little bit. Got a little loose, though, and Biffle gets under him into turn 1. Stewart looks high on Johnson for 4th. See, the problem with that, Tim, we can't afford to pit. We need a caution to help pit, because we'll go a lap down. We know these leaders can make it on fuel to the end. So by pitting, we're basically sacrificing any sort of shot at the win. And finishing on the lead lap, which would likely cost us a top 10 finish, too. Is faster than Newman and Kenseth for that matter, but Johnson is still lurking. Right side of Biffle's race car pretty well damaged. Seen 4 cautions up to this point today after a 180 plus lap green flag run to start the race. This is not good here for Biffle. He's a little better in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. Didn't really gap Johnson, though. Johnson is coming. Maybe a car length in between the 2 cars, and that's it. I think at this point, Biffle's just hoping for Tony Stewart to get to the inside of Johnson and have those 2 battle it off and kind of help Biffle for a little bit. Johnson gains a little ground off of turn 2.
I'm sure he's still angry with you.
30 laps to go here in the Coke 600. Man, Biffle drove it deep into turns 1 and 2. He's catching up to Matt Kenseth. Maybe he can get around him and put a buffer car between these guys. Kenseth's his teammate. Might let him go.
He might try to round your cage. Leader's running about 2.5 seconds in front of you.
2.6 now is the difference here between 1st and 3rd. Tony Stewart trying to get around Jimmy Johnson. Johnson trying to pretty much get to the back bumper of Biffle so he can wreck him. Biffle's hitting his mark consistently right now. He's not letting Johnson intimidate him. And there's Ashton Lewis just up ahead as well. Oh boy. Another rival of Greg Biffle's. And Biffle needs a caution, perhaps to make it on fuel to the end. Well, said either Newman, Lewis, or Johnson were going to be the three guys he's going to spin. Johnson's behind him. Biffle doesn't even want Johnson to get to him.
He may try to make you back. I'll call you later.
2.1 off the lead. Biffle slightly gapped Johnson that last lap. Biffle's running hard. Lewis is blocking Greg Biffle quite a bit right now. Oh, Biffle got the wall into turn one. Johnson could be closing. Biffle slides to the outside of Lewis, trying to turn him, couldn't do it. Johnson gets around him. Oh, Lewis comes back up the track into Stewart. They get held up. We stay green. Biffle tried to retaliate on Ashton Lewis. It didn't work. 25 laps to go in the Coke 600. And Johnson is up to third. Biffle trying to chase Johnson and turn him down. Tony Stewart lost so much ground.
Still beside you. Okay.
Johnson has caught Kenseth. I believe that's Matt Kenseth. For second, wow, Biffle got really tight off of turn 4. He might have got back into the gas too soon, but he kept it off the wall. Johnson's now less than 2 seconds off the lead, and that is Kenseth right in front of him. Kenseth trying to hold Johnson up. And his teammate Greg Biffle's coming. Look at Tony Stewart trying to come back from the contact with Lewis. Kenseth is still blocking Jimmy Johnson. Biffle got loose off of turn 4. 22 to go. Biffle. Well, he got in the back of Jimmy there. Kenseth is blocking Johnson right now, insanely right now. It's holding these guys up with even a chance to try and get to Ryan Newman. 21 to go. Laps are ticking. Biffle could probably only make it about 12 more laps on fuel. Wow, he's burned quite a bit over this run. The second half of the run, at least. Biffle needs a caution now. Contact with Johnson. Johnson held up. Biffle in the wall off of turn 4. I think he got tight after getting into the back of the 48. Johnson now trying to go high on Kenseth. What Newman wants to see is a battle like this for second place. Buying Newman more time in case Jimmy Johnson can catch him. Johnson known for winning these Coke 600s. Kenseth got loose off of turn 4. That checked up both the 16 and the 48. 20 to go. Johnson to the inside of Kenseth. And up to second. Biffle follows Jimmy on by the 17. Johnson now trying to block Biffle. Can't keep the accelerator down off of turn 2. Yeah, I know, that's the problem. You can't really turn the cars on the left rear corner panel in this game, so you got to go high, but Johnson's blocking the outside. Biffle right on him. Oh, Biffle trying to save the car. And he does! Kenseth back up to third. Biffle tried everything he could right there to turn Johnson on the left rear because he couldn't get to his outside and he just couldn't do it.
Left front tire's a little worn. You let him by, he's going to make things tough on you. 3.5 seconds behind the leader.
Now he's got to hustle to get back around Kenseth again. You can see Ryan Newman is also getting bigger out of the windshield of really everybody. Kenseth blocking his teammate Biffle for third. Biffle was there. Contact with his teammate and up to third again. Tight in the wall. Oh, and he about turns himself off the front bumper of Kenseth to hang on to third and try to run down Johnson. Johnson's 2 seconds off the 12 of Newman. $15 to go.
Leader's out front by 3.5 seconds.
Newman has just kicked it into hyperdrive right now. He's 2 seconds ahead of Johnson still. Biffle could still catch Ryan Newman as well and turn him. Guess he doesn't necessarily have to turn Johnson and only Johnson. Not sure how many drivers are on the lead lap right now as well and how many would come onto pit road if we did see another yellow.
Gas tank's almost dry. Time to fill her up.
Maybe 5 or 6 more laps of fuel here for Biffle. I don't think he's catching Newman, and Johnson is slightly pulling him.
He holds the leaders about 3 seconds.
2.8 off the lead. Johnson 1.6 off the lead. There's Robbie Gordon blocking Greg Biffle on the inside. Biffle trying to get the run off of turn 2, and Robbie Gordon is blocking him now. Biffle sends it into turn 3. Oh, little contact. That got dangerous right there. That is not a spot to have contact, but he gets by Robbie Gordon. 12 laps to go in the Coke 600. Johnson closing in on Newman. Biffle closing in on both Newman and Johnson. Yeah, but Biffle does have to pit under green. It will be a fuel-only stop.
You let him by, he's going to make things tough
He will
on you.
still go a lap down, though.
I'm clocking the leader at about 2 seconds ahead.
Biffle got a little tight into turn 3 that time. Couldn't stick the bottom of the track. He's still closing in on the 48.
Only 10 laps left.
He's only got maybe one more shot to try and turn Jimmy Johnson. Just over a gallon of fuel left in the 16 of Biffle's car. Lap car right in front of the 48. That's costing him a lot of time.
The leaders are about a second and a half.
9 laps to go in the Coke 600. And Johnson finally gets around the lap car. To the inside of Grubb off of turn 4. Little contact trying to get along side of him and clear him. Just got around him there. About a half a gallon of fuel left. With 8 laps to go, Newman is right in front of Jimmy Johnson. Biffle catching Johnson himself here. Biffle might be able to go one more lap. 7 to go. Oh no! A bad decision from Biffle has knocked him out of the race again into turn 1. Trying to take out Jimmy Johnson with just 7 to go.
What an exciting finish.
Wow, you're right. That was an incredible finish to an even more incredible race. This NASCAR Winston Cup Series is so exciting to watch.
Greg Biffle didn't have much of a race.
He stayed in the fight all race long. Things just never quite went his way.
Hit him too hard on the right front.
Friend in the garage area.
Bringing out the 5th yellow of the race.
But now they have a little history on the racetrack. It'll be something to watch in the weeks ahead.
This has been NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, brought to you by EA Sports. We'll see you next week at Homestead.
Unbelievable what we have seen tonight. The problem is with the game in general, with trying to, whether you're passing or trying to get alongside of somebody just to spin them, whatever the case, to try and get alongside of a car, if they block you, it takes the momentum away immediately. So if you try to even run into the back of them, per se, and turn them that way, which is really hard to do. It's not impossible, but it's really hard to do. By sending it into the, not sending it into the corner, but by trying to get to their back bumper, the air just slows the car down so much. So that's why when you saw Johnson, or really anybody in this game in any race, whenever somebody tries to throw a block down a straightaway, I'm not slowing down and letting them block me. I'm staying in the gas, but it cuts your momentum off and you can't do anything. You can't even get alongside of them. So me not being able to get alongside Jimmy Johnson that entire time was not because I was backing out and just trying to get on the corner panel. I was trying to do whatever I could to get alongside of him, and I just couldn't do it. Unbelievable to go nearly 600 miles in just 7 laps shy. Over 3 hours of race time for that to happen. If I would have known that was going to happen, I would have DNF'd on lap 1 and gotten the race over with. That was a waste of time. Right there. Unbelievable. Dale Jarrett will go on to win the Coke 600 on a late race restart. They would have only had about 3 or 4 laps left with another restart. Biffle did get 10 bonus points for leading the most laps. There were a few drivers that did DNF. One of them was the top 5 points driver of Jeff Gordon, so that kind of helps Biffle, but Biffle's so far behind in the points, and I'm sure he dropped even more spots. Another DNF. 7 of the last 9 races we've DNF'd. That is insane. That is not like me. You guys know me for being a clean racer. And that was something that in any other game I would not have tried doing. But because Johnson caused Greg Biffle so much hectic nature, about ended his race halfway through it after wiping him out, it was only right to try and dump him back in a time where we needed a caution because we weren't going to make it on fuel. And that was the last lap that we could have made it on fuel. Greg Biffle would have had to come down pit road that lap. At the worst, he would have topped off fuel only, and he likely would have finished in 15th, is what we're looking at here. And that still even would have been a lot better than his DNF, finishing way down in the field. We'll take a look at the top 10. Dale Jarrett with the win. Dale Jr. finishes second, followed by Johnny Benson with a nice podium finish in third. Bill Elliott fourth, and Tony Stewart rounds out the top 5. So points leader finishes 5th and he led laps today. Mark Martin finished 6th, Kevin Harvick 7th, followed by Matt Kenseth, Jeff Burton, and Jimmy Johnson rounds out the top 10. We'll go all the way down. Wow, a lot of drivers DNF tonight. So Greg Biffle finishes 31st, leading 148 of the 400 laps, so that will get him 10 bonus points. So it could have been a lot worse. Okay, so I guess I wouldn't have DNF'd on lap 1 to get it over with, because we did finish 12 positions ahead of last, but a 31st place finish for Biffle. Look at all the drivers that DNF'd today. Greg Biffle DNF'd. Kevin LePage and Ashton Lewis finished on the same lap as Biffle, but Biffle was scored ahead of him. So Biffle DNF'd. Rusty Wallace, Joe Nemechek, Ricky Craven, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, Ward Burton, Kyle Petty, Casey Mears, and Jack Sprague all DNF'd. And Dale Jarrett gets the victory, running in the top 10 most of the day. 30 lead changes, 5 cautions. 3 hours, 42 minutes total time on the race today. That has broken a record for the longest race we've ever had on the channel, ever. Breaking the Coke 600 on NASCAR Heat 4 by 9 minutes. Well, we DNF'd and it brought out another caution. It would have brought out a caution. That would have brought out the 5th caution of the race. So they would have had to restart with 3 or 4 laps left. That does randomize the order too. But Newman was obviously slower, so maybe he didn't have a good restart. Maybe he pitted, I don't know. It's tough to say because we couldn't stick around for the last 6 laps of the race, but that is likely what happened. But Newman finished 11th. Exit out of here. We'll take a look at the point standings. Unbelievable way to finish things off here tonight, the Coke 600. That, you don't want to say that finished the blow off. We still have 19 races to go. Next race is at Homestead, and that will be tomorrow. Alex Sandoval, welcome to the stream. We just finished, man. Kind of an ugly finish to this thing. Not the way Biffle wanted things to go, that is for sure. Chance to win it. And another race where he led the most laps in DNF'd. So Homestead will be the next race. We'll look at the upcoming schedule. Homestead Miami Speedway will be tomorrow. On Sunday, we'll have Chicagoland. And then later next week, we'll have Talladega are the next 3 races, followed by Richmond and Michigan. So those are the next 5 races on the season. Yeah, custom schedule season. Tony Stewart has a points lead with a 5th place finish, 71 points ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And the top 4 are within 1 race still. Dale Jarrett is just over 1 race out by 1 point. So the top 3 are all within 1 race of the points lead. Mathematically, they could take it. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman. 7 of the last 9 races have been DNFs for Biffle. It has dropped him in that stretch from 5th in points all the way back to 22nd. So Biffle didn't lose a spot in points today, but he did lose points with Tony Stewart finishing 5th. He is now 739 back in 22nd. So he goes from just under 1 race back, 5th in points, 9 races ago, to being in the deficit he is at now. A rough go midway through the season for Greg Biffle. So, next full race live stream tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NASCAR Thunder 2004, and that will be at Homestead. A doubleheader tomorrow. We'll be running Road America for NASCAR Heat 5 after the finish of that one for the Xfinity Series. So, doubleheader coming your way tomorrow. Thanks for everybody tuning in here tonight, and thanks for everybody who support me on the daily by simply just subscribing. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast every day as I start my young broadcasting career. Hit the like button down below if you enjoy the race commentary, the video in general, and also hit the like button because it helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Helps this video get recommended for, or I should say underneath other NASCAR related videos that are trending. So thanks everybody for that as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. It was a rough one at the finish, but it was a fun, entertaining race nevertheless. Doubleheader on the channel tomorrow with Thunder 04, the NASCAR Heat 5, so I hope to see you guys then. And have a good rest of your night.